Hi, everyone. This is Inspire Beautiful. Sometimes we look back at something we've left behind and wonder, was it all a mistake? A decision we once believed was right for us. And when something ends badly or simply stops fitting our lives, it's tempting to rewrite the entire story. But I think we're sometimes too quick to turn an ending into a verdict on everything that came before it. Because not everything we leave behind was a mistake. Sometimes it was simply a chapter, and chapters have endings. There are things in our lives that were right for us for a season, but weren't meant to follow us into the next one. That doesn't make them meaningless, it makes them part of our story. Leaving something behind doesn't mean those years were wasted. It means they served a purpose that may have become clear only in hindsight. The same can be true of relationships. Sometimes we leave a relationship and later wonder why we invested so much of ourselves. But perhaps that relationship taught you something about yourself. Maybe you discovered what you value. Maybe you learned what you cannot live without. Maybe you learned how to communicate, and maybe you learned what love feels like. Or perhaps you learned what it doesn't feel like. Those lessons have value too. We don't have to call the entire experience a mistake simply because it didn't last forever. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that something can have been meaningful and still be over. Both things can be true. You can appreciate what a season gave you and still not want to return to it. You can be grateful for a person and still know that your paths no longer belong together. You can be proud of a career and still choose a different direction. You can love the life you once had and still be ready for something new. That's not hypocrisy, that's growth. And there is another reason we sometimes struggle to let go. We think leaving means admitting that we were wrong, but changing your mind isn't always failure. Sometimes it means you know more now than you knew then. You have experienced more. You have learned more. You've become more aware of what matters to you. We make decisions with the information, resources, confidence, and understanding we had at the time. Then life teaches us something, and sometimes that new understanding changes the decision we make next. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's part of being human. I also think we need to be careful about measuring our lives only by what remains. A friendship that lasted 10 years mattered. A career that lasted 20 years mattered. A dream that you eventually released mattered. A season that didn't turn out the way you hoped for still mattered. Its value isn't determined solely by whether it lasted forever. Sometimes we don't realize what a chapter gave us until we're standing in the next one. And maybe that's the perspective we need when we look backward. Instead of asking, why did I waste so much time? We might ask, what did the season teach me? You don't have to make every past decision perfect in order to make peace with it. You don't have to justify every ending, and you don't have to turn an entire chapter into a mistake simply because you're no longer living in it. Some things end because they failed. Some things end because circumstances changed. And some things end because we changed. The important thing is what we choose to carry forward. So, take the lesson, take the gratitude, and take the wisdom. Leave what no longer belongs to you and keep moving forward because your next chapter doesn't have to prove that your previous one was wrong. It can simply show that you've grown. Inspire beautiful. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining me.